Wicked for Good is bringing this witchy origin story to a close in a bombastic final act. The first movie was very popular, but if it feels too long for a rewatch, we've got you covered with the shiz you may have forgotten. At its heart, Wicked is a story about prejudice. Our lead character, Elphaba, is born with green skin from a lurid affair between her mother and a traveling salesman. The salesman's face is conveniently never shown, but he insists that Elphaba's mom, the governor's wife, keep drinking a strange elixir. Moments after her birth, the governor casts Elphaba out.
Take it away!
And she's left to be raised by her bear nanny. Elphaba is mercilessly teased by other kids, and she sometimes lets out her rage with demonstrations of her telekinetic powers. She's also fiercely protective of her sister, Nessa Rose, who is in a wheelchair.
This is my younger sister, Nessa Rose. As you can see, she's a perfectly acceptable color.
Elphaba explains later that the governor made his wife chew milk flowers while pregnant to avoid Nessa Rose being born green too, but they caused Nessa Rose to be born prematurely, with underdeveloped legs. Their mother also died after her birth. Elphaba blames herself for it all. Though it's awkward to be there with her adoptive father, Elphaba makes sure to accompany Nessa to her first day at Shiz University, where students learn sorcery. Elphaba doesn't intend to make herself the center of attention. It's her sister's day to start school and be given her mother's silver shoes. But when the headmistress provides some unwanted help and starts wheeling Nessa Rose away, Elphaba's powers come out in spectacular fashion. The Dean of Sorcery, Madame Morrible, sees it all happen from a balcony. She takes the blame for the chaos and immediately enrolls Elphaba in the university. Elphaba doesn't even ask for it. Morrible sees immense potential in Elphaba, noting that she could even one day become Grand Vizier to Oz's ruler, the Wizard. That's Elphaba's dream.
If you can learn to use your powers in the right way. Miss Elphaba.
A vain and ambitious new student named Galinda inadvertently volunteers to be Elphaba's new roommate. The two clash in just about every way, including their all-pink and all-black wardrobes, but Galinda tries to keep things cordial since she knows that Elphaba is in Madame Morrible's good graces. While searching through one of her many trunks of clothes, one of Galinda's friends finds a black hat that will look awfully familiar to anyone who's seen The Wicked Witch of the West and The Wizard of Oz.
I know. It's my granny. She always makes me the most hideous hats. I'd give it away, but I don't hate anyone that much.
With little more than a look, Galinda's friends convince her that she does, in fact, hate Elphaba that much. So Galinda not only gives Elphaba the hat, but encourages her to wear it at a dance party that night at the Ozdust Ballroom nightclub. At the party, Madame Morrible lets Galinda know that Elphaba did in fact secure some private tutoring for her. Moments later, Elphaba shows up in the hat. Everyone laughs. Feeling guilty, Galinda dances with Elphaba in a public display of support. When they get back to their room, Galinda gives Elphaba a makeover and they're best friends from then on. Elphaba didn't get Madame Morrible to tutor Galinda for no reason, but that reason was a misinterpretation of one of Galinda's earlier acts as one of kindness. Right after Galinda arrives at Shiz, she's approached by a wild-haired munchkin named Bach. He's enamored with her. She's not interested.
I know we don't really know each other yet.
You know what I believe, Bick?
It's Bick. It's Bach.
But Galinda does have eyes for a handsome and charming new transfer student named Fiyero. So does Elphaba, for that matter. So she can go to the dance party with Fiyero, Galinda essentially pawns Bach off on Nessa Rose.
I would do anything for you.
Well,
Oh, right now.
why not?
Nessa is really flattered by the invitation and tells Elphaba about it, leading Elphaba to repay what seems like a favor for her sister. At the dance, Bach almost comes clean about his true motives, but instead simply asks Nessa to dance after seeing Galinda and Fiyero together. In the midst of all the personal stuff, something strange is going on at Shiz and beyond. Animals once lived side by side with humans in Oz, but Dr. Dillamond, a talking goat who teaches history, explains that they've increasingly become second-class citizens. He also seems to have a hard time speaking. When he says Galinda, it comes out as
Miss Galinda.
Elphaba has a particular soft spot for animals given that she was raised by a bear, so she follows Dillamond to a secret off-campus meeting of the remaining animals in the community. She overhears that animals are being blamed for every bad thing that happens, losing their ability to speak and being forced out of their jobs, not just at Shiz either.
Many animals have gone missing or are actually leaving.
Things come to a head when Dillamond is forcibly removed from his class. The new instructor arrives and shows a lion cub in a cage, stating that this is how animals will live now, never learning to speak. Elphaba can't accept that, and her powers come out again. She puts everyone in the room except herself and Fiyero to sleep with poppy dust. Elphaba and Fiyero escape with the lion cub and free him in the woods. Madame Morrible sees the aftermath of Elphaba putting everyone to sleep and writes a letter to the Wizard of Oz. An invitation soon arrives for Elphaba to visit his palace in the Emerald City and be given her heart's desire. Madame Morrible says she simply needs to prove herself to get it. A train arrives to take Elphaba to the palace, and Galinda comes to see her off. Fiyero also shows up for a farewell. He mentions how much he thinks about Dillamond being taken away and saving the lion cub with Elphaba. Upon seeing how much Fiyero cares about the animal's plight, Galinda makes an announcement. She's changing her name to
Galinda.
which is sort of how Dillamond said it. Galinda expresses how much she wants to be with Fiyero, who now seems to be far more interested in Elphaba. He even gives Elphaba his boutonniere. At the very last moment, Elphaba invites Galinda to join her on the trip to the Emerald City, and she jumps onto the train. Upon arriving in the city, Elphaba and Galinda see a stage production mythologizing the wizard's arrival in Oz on a balloon and ability to read a magic book, the Grimoire. That sequence includes cameos from Idina Menzel and Kristen Chenoweth, who played Elphaba and Galinda respectively in the original Broadway cast. After getting an eyeful of the Emerald City, Elphaba and Galinda arrive at the wizard's palace, which is guarded by armored monkeys who don't talk. After a lot of pomp and pageantry, the wizard reveals himself to be just a regular man. But he does have some pretty big plans. For one, he wants to build a massive road that always leads to the Emerald City. He can't decide on the color of the bricks, though.
The yellow, really?
Yes. It just says road to me.
Elphaba reveals that her heart's desire is for the wizard to help the animals. The wizard seemingly agrees, but before he can grant the wish, Madame Morrible arrives for Elphaba's big moment. Both the wizard and Morrible point out the Grimoire and wonder if Elphaba can cast a spell from it. Elphaba sees this as her opportunity to prove herself. The wizard and Morrible essentially bait Elphaba into reciting a spell that gives all of the monkey guards wings. It works, but is a painful process for them. The wizard and Morrible don't do much to hide that it was all a trick. They have plans to use the flying monkeys as spies, and the wizard has been behind the subjugation of animals the whole time.
Everybody knows that the best way to bring folks together is to give them a real good enemy.
Realizing that she's being used because the wizard can't really cast spells at all, Elphaba takes the Grimoire and runs away. Morrible sends not only Galinda, but also the now flying monkey guards after her, threatening their families in the process. The wizard declares Elphaba a fugitive, and later Morrible calls her
this wicked witch.
With Galinda following, Elphaba starts winding her way up the tower where the wizard's hot air balloon is kept. After fighting off some human guards, she and Galinda take off in the balloon. The roof closes and destroys it. They end up trapped in basically a storage closet. Galinda tries to convince Elphaba to simply apologize and work with the wizard, but Elphaba can't do that, so she enchants a broom and uses it to fly out of there as Galinda is apprehended by guards. The movie ends with Elphaba irreversibly on the path to becoming Wicked Witch of the West as she belts out the song Defying Gravity. A series of quick shots also shows Galinda being coerced into helping Madame Morrible as Fiyero escapes shiz. As we mentioned, the Wicked movies are based on a massively successful Broadway musical of the same name from 2003. Bringing it to the screen with stars Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande was a more than 20-year journey. And in the end, it got divided into two parts so that the story could breathe a little bit more. Indeed, most of the major differences between the stage production and the movie involve something pretty unusual for a film adaptation. It actually expands songs and scenes. For instance, the scene depicting Elphaba's childhood is entirely an invention of the movie. In the musical, her upbringing is just talked about. The play within a play giving the wizard's mythic origin story is also greatly expanded in the film. Nessa Rose is more fully developed, and her dad has a heart attack on screen. There are more scenes establishing the plight of animals in the world. The scene where Elphaba and Fiyero meet is also changed. He's on a talking horse rather than in a carriage.
We didn't see you there. You must have blended with the foliage.
The movie also just generally seems to be more tied to the original 1939 Wizard of Oz film. While the stage musical has a steampunk aesthetic, the movie movie looks far more like the classic movie. There are some song differences too. Some songs are longer, a few lyrics are changed here and there. Plus, the movie gives Elphaba a new power. She seems to be able to see the future. More than once, she has a vision of Dillamond in a cage. It seems likely that this will hold true for the second part. No huge changes from the original play, just some tweaks and additions. Wicked doesn't hide where it's going. The movie's and play's very first scene depicts the Wicked Witch of the West's well-known fate from The Wizard of Oz. She melts after Dorothy throws a bucket of water onto her, and Glinda arrives in Munchkinland to announce her demise to massive cheers.
Yes. The Wicked Witch of the West is dead.
So there's not really that much to spoil, at least in terms of the ultimate conclusion. The big difference, of course, is context. Elphaba is way more sympathetic in Wicked than she was in The Wizard of Oz, and the wizard is fully the villain of the piece. Plus, Dorothy looks pretty callous and mean in hindsight too. Though we do have to ask, if Elphaba loved animals so much, why did the Wicked Witch hate Toto? That's not to say there aren't any surprises in store. If you're familiar with the stage musical, you know what's coming. But if you don't, we've yet to learn who Elphaba's mysterious dad is, nor who will become the Tin Man, the Scarecrow, or the Wicked Witch of the East. That all definitely gets answered, but we're not gonna spoil it for you. Find out when Wicked for Good hits theaters on November 21st.